Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. This is a Symbolic demo. I hope you're in the right place. We're really excited to show you this afternoon some new tools in Symbolic that we think are first of their kind for our industry. We've been working on this for quite a while, and we appreciate you joining us. We're very proud and excited to showcase this. Let me just start by introducing my colleagues. On with me today and presenting will be Lisa Mahapatra, who is our head of product, and Scott Austin, who is our head of corporate development. We have some great attendance on this call, and what I noticed is that there's some existing customers and some people who may be less familiar with Symbolic. So let me just say a word about who we are. Symbolic is a company that was co-founded by John Stokes and myself, and its mission is to bring professional generative AI to communicators and publishers, large and small, who publish mission-critical content. Our customers today are news organizations, they are corporate communications teams, they are small writers who have large followings, they are public relations firms. What they share in common is they publish critical information, short form, fact-based critical information. Most AI today is good for high volume, low stakes communication. Symbolic is built for high stakes communication, things that have to be right every time. It's built to make people more efficient. It's built to take away tasks that they don't want to do. It's built to make AI work for them, not replace them. We firmly believe that AI is best when it is a tool used by people, not when it is run autonomously to replace people. And particularly for the industry that we're serving, it must be that way. Symbolic is secure. It is given how we come at the world, which is from a publisher perspective. As you would imagine, we are very serious about protecting intellectual property, which not all AI is. Today will be a good example of what we do. We've been speaking to people in our industry for quite some time, and one thing that came up time and time again is structured content, templated content, newsletter type content, things that are distributed and are burdensome. They're hard to create. They're not necessarily the highest value tasks, but they're critical. The truth is, in 2025, one of the ways you connect with an audience or a community is you distribute content, and oftentimes you distribute a newsletter. And what we heard people tell us is that AI kind of doesn't work for this task, and the existing tools are not great. It's cumbersome, it's time consuming, and it's costly to do this. So we did a lot of experimentation with AI, with generative AI, and given what we do, we now have a good understanding of what large language models are good at and what they're not good at. And what we tried to do here is harness the things that LLMs are really good at. But the truth is that LLMs on their own cannot come close to building a quality newsletter. So we had to build a lot of it from the ground up. And the goal is to put tools in the hand of our customers that will make creating a newsletter or a briefing or whatever you want to call it, not only significantly more efficient, but actually enjoyable, as opposed to what we heard today, which is it's not. So with that, I want to get right to it. I'm going to turn it over to Lisa, who's going to give you a first run through of what we are building. And by the way, just in terms of mechanics, on this webcast, you can ask questions at any time, and we'll come to those at the end and answer them. So feel free to fire questions at us, and we'll try to get to them all at the end. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to Lisa. Thanks.
Hello, thanks so much for joining. Just wanted to go over in brief how Symbolic works. The parts of the app that I'm touching today are going to be primarily our projects, and specifically the research grid and the right section of our projects app. The idea is that you can put in all of the research that you're working with into the research grid. And then in the right section of our app, you can use an LLM to look at specifically only the research that you've loaded into your project, and then get an LLM to help you write based off of that. That way, the LLM does not go out and hallucinate, and you're able to very narrowly ask it to do things. And then you're able to check whether it did them correctly or not. With that, I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I'm going to show you what this looks like. So I'm basically sharing my Chrome window. This is the Symbolic projects homepage. The way in which you create a new project is you hit the new project button and you add a project name and a description, and we're able to make recommendations for research to you based off of this information. For today, I've already set up a project because doing this manually would be a little time taking and I wanted to shorten the time. But I'm going to show you in brief the mechanics of what I did. I'm going to go into this particular project called the Market Weekly. What you're going to see a demo of today is me building a newsletter with an introduction, 2 sections that go over 2 big news stories that happened in the past week. One section for where the newsletter basically talks about opinion pieces that I think are worth reading, and a last section that's kind of just talking about what's happening on the market. This is a very business-focused newsletter that I'm going to be producing with you guys today. I've already loaded stories related to the 2 big topics I'm hoping to cover today, and one is Hailey Bieber's Rode was sold to e.l.f. in a $1 billion deal. This is a big mergers and acquisitions news today. And the other big piece of news is that Boeing is going to resume airplane deliveries to China. These are both big market moving things. I also have, I'm just going to add, just to show you guys how I add stories to my research grid. You can click import here and add links. You can upload files directly, amongst other ways of getting research in there. But we also have a Chrome extension. I'm going to use this Chrome extension to send this YouTube video to my project directly. It's importing the content. It's going to happen pretty quickly. It's successfully imported. And you're going to see shortly that, oh, it may have uploaded it to the wrong folder. Yes, I made some folders to kind of organize my research. The Chrome extension often sends it to the last created folder. But as you can see, we make it very easy to load and RAG with audio and video files. What's going to happen is that this particular file is going to be transcribed and then put into the context window for the LLM to look at. And then there's this what's happening section where I've basically added a bunch of stories that I intend to use in my what's happening section of my newsletter. And I'm just going to add one last section, and I'm going to call this opinion because this is the opinion section. And I'm going to send a few opinion stories that I've outlined that I think that are pieces that I think are worth reading. I'm going to use the extension. I'm going to send 3 stories to the opinion section. And you'll see them, like the LLM is analyzing this last one, and the third one should show up shortly. And I'm going to tag these with a new tag, opinion. The tag's created, now it exists. And yeah, now I've basically tagged all my research. All of my opinion, all of the pieces that I'm hoping to refer to in my opinion section are tagged with the tag opinion, which I just created. All of the stories I'm hoping to use in what's happening are tagged with what's happening, as you can see. I should tag this with Boeing because it's a YouTube video about Boeing. The folders are more in affordance just to make it easy for you to keep track of what you're doing. And here are my big stories. I've tagged the road beauty and elf deal with topic 1, and the second topic with Boeing, mostly just to show you all that the names of the tags are entirely arbitrary. This is simply a way for you to tell the LLM what you're talking about. And I'm going to create a new draft. And as you can see on the left side of my screen, I have a few things that I can configure for this draft. I'm going to go over each part, but first I'm going to add a section for each of the sections that I had in mind when thinking of this newsletter. So there's 2 sections now. I'll add a third and a fourth and a fifth because I've got 2 topics, 1 opinion and 1 quick links. I'm just going to name these sections: intro, topic 1, topic 2, opinions worth reading, and what's happening. Now, for topic 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag all of the research that I have in topic 1. And if you look at voice, style, and format, a voice, a style, and a format are an affordance that Symbolic gives you so that you can very carefully instruct it on the voice or the tone that you want it to use when you're writing a news story, the format in which you want it written, and if you have a style guide. For example, if you just want to use the AP style guide, you can use that and make sure that all of the copy that's being written follows the rules in that style guide. I'm going to click on format and click on, you can write your own instructions here. It's pretty arbitrary. You can generate a format from samples of representative material. Today, I'm just going to use a preset because I want to show you some formats that we at Symbolic have come up with that we think you can use to get started. I have a section called newsletter here, and the intention of this particular set of formats is for you to be able to combine them in a variety of ways to construct a newsletter. So for this section 2, which is my big topic 1, I'm going to pick the single topic using multiple sources format. And I'm going to hit apply, and it's applied. For my topic 2, I'm going to tag the research, everything that I've tagged Boeing. I'm going to apply the same format. It's now showing up in my recently used. For opinions worth reading, I'm going to tag the opinions tagged research. I'm going to use a different format. In newsletter, I have one called recommended reads. I'm going to apply this one. I'm going to modify it just a little bit. In this format, it names all of this. It names the section recommended reads, but I want it to be called opinions worth reading. So I'm just going to change the instruction a little bit here, and I'm going to apply and close. And for what's happening, again, doing the same thing. I'm tagging the research that I'm tagging the research that I referenced to this section. And I'm going to apply a slightly different format. This one is the link roundup. It's basically a single line summary of the linked news stories that I've got in here. And I'm going to apply that. And again, I'm going to change the title. The title is quick reads here. I'm just going to change that to what's happening. Any of the formats that you modify from the Symbolic formats can be saved as a preset. You simply have to click on the Save as a Preset button, and you can say single line what's happening, and it'll show up as a new format in your My Format section. But anyway, I've got my format set up. For voice, I'm going to load a voice from presets, and we have several Symbolic created voices, and I'm going to go down to finance because this is a business newsletter, and I'm going to use the authoritative expert voice and generate newsletter copy using all of this. Simple. You just click on the first draft button. Bear with me, this does take a little bit of time because what the LLM is doing is essentially reading all of the research that I've asked it to reference, and reading all the instructions and essentially writing a section of a newsletter. All right, copy looks good. It's got an intro, it's referencing all the linked news stories, and it's got links to all of the sources. I'm gonna go to topic 2, which is the Boeing story. I'm gonna click on the first draft button, and I'm gonna generate that. The idea behind this is that it's not perfect, but it's hoping to get you somewhere between 80 to 95% there. And then an editor comes in and makes sure that it's copy that is up to your standards. I actually feel like this section is a little too long, so I'm just gonna select some of this text. And I'm gonna ask the AI to make this a little bit shorter. This is also true of the first section. You can modify the prompt itself to just write you shorter copy in the first place, but you can also just click on the shorter button if you just want less copy to deal with. All right, let's move on to opinions worth reading. So there were 3 stories in here. The first one was about arsonists. As you can see, arsonists outlawing fire hoses, commentary on why Apple and Tim Cook can't placate Trump, and why the EU should fear Trump's tariffs. Done it in a relatively dry voice, which makes sense because that is the voice that I used when generating this draft. And now we're moving on to first what's happening. And again, I've got the research folder set up, the format set up, just have to hit first draft. What I really like about this is that it automatically hyperlinks all the stories that you've got in your sources. It just feels like one of those little things that isn't like crazy magical, but is just such a pain in the ass to keep track of all of your links and manually hyperlink things. That it just feels nice when an AI does it. All right, so I have my 4 sections written. I don't have an intro yet. Now, I think many people would just want to manually write their intro, but you can also ask the AI to write you an intro. I'm just going to write a custom command. I'm going to say, look at the content of the 4 sections that you see below. And if you missed what I did, I just hit the spacebar to surface. Like if you hit the spacebar on any empty line, you basically get our freeform command menu. Look at the content of the 4 sections that you see below and write an intro for a newsletter that references this content. You are writing an intro to the newsletter only and not the newsletter itself. be very brief, under 200 words. And I'm going to see how it does. All right, not bad. It did not give me a headline in this one, but I can just add that myself and give it a heading 1. All right. This is pretty dry. I'm not going to pause too long to let anyone read because we're a little short on time, but I did want to, I already had all of this set up in draft 1. All right, it is not letting me move to draft 1. Just going to refresh. All right, here's everything. I've already set up all the formats to be the exact same as the previous one, but I'm going to change the voice from authoritative expert voice to my humorous and authoritative voice. So slightly more casual. And I'm going to do the same thing. We're planning on making significant improvements to this functionality in the next coming days. We're going to add a little write first draft for all sections button. That should make all the things that I did a single click. The writing will take a little bit of time, but at least you're not sitting there clicking a bunch of times. We're also going to make it very easy to create draft level presets. So you're going to be able to set up all of these formats for all of your sections in one shot, and then be able to reuse them as many times as you like. I'm just going to generate the first 2 topics and then generate the intro just to kind of show you the difference in tone of voice. And then I'll be taking a pause and handing the baton to Scott. But it is good to kind of take a look at the slight difference in verbiage and tone. One of the reasons we think this works so well is that you're not asking the LLM to do anything enormous in one shot. Breaking up the commands into smaller commands where you're asking it to write one section at a time tends to be a lot more successful in producing high quality content. And I wrote a very similar format to what I had previously.
Lisa, if I could just add before we turn to Scott, you know, we're going through this sequentially just to show off how it works. But the fact is that once you get the formats and voice that you want dialed into where you want it, the process of curating research and then generating a complex multi-part, multi-format newsletter will take under a minute. I mean, it's that simple. You can do it incredibly quickly. And then I know there'll be questions about exporting it. Scott will show you a little bit of that, but these newsletters are very easy to export. And for our enterprise customers, we integrate with any system so that it can actually be a straight through process. You can hit export, it can immediately go to whatever distribution system, email list, whatever you want to be distributed once you're happy and you're finished with it. But I think that was great, Lisa. I think it's perfect. And, you know, like Lisa said, the formats and voices that we're providing are not going to be the ones that you're exactly going to use, but they're meant to get you started.
Yes.
And we work with our customers to get it right. And again, it won't be 100% perfect, but you should get to an 85. Nobody should be doing this manually. You can get to an 85 to 90% quality newsletter in a minute and then finish it with hands-on editorial. And the truth is that doing this production work is not the value your readers are paying for. They're paying for your judgment and curation. They're paying for your point of view. They're not paying for you to add links and do all this type of work. So with that, let's turn it over to Scott, and he'll show you something just slightly different.
Yeah, thanks, Devin. Great job, Lisa. I'm Scott Austin. I've spent much of my career as a reporter and editor, and I think what gets lost sometimes in these demos because of the time that we have is the actual writing. I love writing. I actually care deeply about the written word, and I know what we show is automation. No one wants to see me actually write my entire introduction in a demo, but I also know the pain of creating newsletters and other repetitive templated articles. You're working with a lot of material. You're often collaborating with other people. It can get very messy and time consuming. And there is a lot of automation in it. The reality is we're often summarizing, we're aggregating. You might write, one big piece or one big intro, but some of what we're doing is getting closer to some of the rote tasks that take a while. It would take me sometimes 2 hours to compile a newsletter over the course of a couple of days, and now I think you're able to do this, as Devin said, in some cases within minutes, depending on how much you want to write. What I'm going to show you is something. I'm going to take the news hat off just a bit here. I'm going to create a project that's a little bit more personal to me. I'm on the board of a little league. We create a weekly newsletter. I'm going to create it here really quickly. I think what I do can actually apply to journalism. It applies to corporate comms. It's really for anyone who creates professional content. And I'll show you really kind of repeat some of what Lisa did and also show you a few other things, but I'll kind of motor through it just to give you another taste of creating a newsletter. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Let's get this up. So I've created a project, in this case, Little League Weekly. This is our weekly emailed newsletter with news and information for parents, all about our Little League. So I'm going to create this. I've added a few links. So I'm going to say Devin is part of he's another board member. We create this together. He's already put in some links here that we might want to use for our newsletter. We also have a couple of notes that coaches or somebody has sent in that could contribute to our newsletter as well. So these notes here. I have a few other things that I'm going to create. So or I'm going to add to this. So I'm going to add another couple of web links that come from our website that I'm going to want to aggregate. So I think a lot of what I'm showing you here is aggregating my own copy, and a lot of what we're producing over the course of the week, we can now aggregate it and place it into our newsletter. So I'm going to add a couple of more research assets here that are going to be part of my briefing section for parents. So you'll see these pop up here as it analyzes. It's pulling from our own website here. Then I'm going to also add a little fun section. We profile famous baseball players or softball players that are from our hometown. So I'm actually going to add a Wikipedia entry for a baseball reference, whichever one. This is a Wikipedia of Tom Candiotti, who is from my hometown. So I will add that in here in case I need to reference it later. And what I don't have is we do a couple of players of the week. They're not in yet. Devin or somebody is still compiling them, so I'll come back to that later. So I have a bunch of different assets here. I'm going to start tagging them just really quickly. So for this one, I'll say player of the week. And once you create these, you could actually, as Lisa was showing, you don't have to recreate the wheel every single time. The same thing with the newsletter. The idea there will be to have presets so that every week you come into it, you can have your defined sections. So this will be what do I have here? These are notes. I'll add some more notes. So you see these 4 will be my notes section, which I'll get into in just a second. And then these will be kind of the links that we'll just quickly summarize using AI, which will bring these links in and showcase them to parents. So I will go now into the draft. And an important feature, we're really showing, again, newsletters, templated articles. if you just wanted to write your own article, you could just keep going. You don't have to break it up into sections. I just wanted to point that out. But this, for this particular technique that we're doing, we're actually breaking this up into sections. So I could create one draft, or I could create a bunch of different sections here. So I'm going to do a few different sections. So this first one here will be my intro. The second one, we're going to do some notes. So this is notes to parents, all the things that they need to know. We'll put that up top. The next one is players of the week. So we'll showcase a couple of players of the week here. And then what I call Creek Legends. So these are the famous players from it. And finally, we will have a links section before we close it out. And the closing, which you don't really have to do, but is really just my closing remarks. So we'll start here with the intro. And actually, I'm going to come back to the intro because I'm going to write that at the end. I'm going to skip that. I'm just going to move right on and use my notes. So as you saw earlier, I filtered everything by the category that I'm using. So I'm going to use the notes here for my research. So those are the 4 different notes. Some of them I wrote myself. Some of them come from my website that we already wrote. For the format, you could generate a sample. I've already actually loaded some for the sake of time. So you'll see here various formats that I've created. So I'm going to do this one as my little quick notes section. You can see here it gives you a little bit of how it looks and a little bit of instructions and some examples. So I will add that there, and I will get this first section going here. So this should pull from, again, the 4 items that I created. And these are just going to be really brief. They're meant to be bullet points, instructions, administrative stuff to the parents, everything that they need to know for the week. And then once this generates, I'm going to move on to the next section. So we'll see here how the Killer Whales win the AA championship. That's great. We've got our pitching clinics coming up, which are important. Big thank you to the umpires. And let's see what's next. The upcoming tournament information. So I'm just kind of scanning this, and it reads very close. Essentially, I mean, it's often, taking what we've written, but just truncating it, because I have instructions in there to cut these down. So someone sends me a very long-winded kind of post, we're able to really summarize it. I think that could be very helpful for AI. I might go in here and edit it, but it's giving me a great start, if not a perfect way of doing it. So I've got that first section, players of the week. I'm going to go back to that because, again, I didn't have that information yet. Devin was still working on it. Creek Legends. This is the one with Tom Candiotti. So we will add in, I believe I called it Legends. And the format will be as well. This will be the Legends format that I created. So this one's actually fun. I actually wrote this little intro each week. It's the same intro. And then it's just summarizing a couple of, 2 paragraphs about the player with statistics. And then I told it to relate it back to Walnut Creek and to my hometown. So we will apply this, make sure I've gotten everything there. I've got the tagging, I've got the format. So now I'm just going to refer back to that one post, and hopefully I did tag it correctly. If I didn't, I'll go back into research. But this should bring up Tom Candiotti, who was a knuckleball pitcher back in the 1980s, who was born in Walnut Creek. So let's get that going. The final section will be links. So you'll see here. So I must not have tagged it. So there you go. So then if you didn't actually tag it correctly, you'll see I tagged this incorrectly. So I'll just say I did that on purpose for the point of demonstration. But I'm going to make this Legends. You see how I mistagged it. So I didn't know what to do. It was kind of looking at like, well, okay, what do you want me to do? I'm going to give you the intro, but I don't know who it is. So now we've got this legend, Tom Candiotti. So now we'll go back. And that was a good mistake to do because that will happen. We'll create this. So we got legends here. So let's try it again. Hopefully this will work. That was a user error there. Let's see. I like user errors because we all do them. The more you use it, the better you get. All right, so it's going to spit it out here in just a second, and then we'll go into the link. So here we go. The Candyman, Tom Candiotti, gives a little bit of history of him. It says Tom was born and raised here in Walnut Creek, attended, okay, yeah, Concord High School, which is right next door to Walnut Creek. So that looks good. It's got some personality to it. It's got some of what I've already written. It's just bringing out a little bit of that summary of his, giant Spaceball reference or Wikipedia entry. And then finally, I'm going to have this link section before I go back to the other section. So this one here is just, this is going to be I think what do we call it? Quick links, Lisa. It's really just, it's really designed so I can go to the symbolic formats. I've got my formats here, and I've got symbolic formats, but it's designed just to give like one sentence and a link, just a real roundup. We want to give credit to the news organizations that created these stories, really just showcasing some of the stories that we want people to read. So it's this link roundup, single line, and it should include the link as well. So I'm going to apply that. Let's hope I did tag my research correctly, and I'll pop this. So it should just give me, I think I had 4 items. It should give me 4 or 5 items that will just link quickly at the end of my newsletter to stories we think people should read. I think it's going to like the Little League website. There's a really cool one, my alma mater, University of Texas, where a softball player played all 9 positions. So we're just kind of linking around here. There you go. We've got the College World Series. That looks good. And then I can add my closing remarks at the end. I'm going to go back now. I hope Devin is done. He's been working hard on this. So I'm going to do the players of the week. So we got a player of the week in baseball. We got a player in softball. I'm going to load this. This is the players of the week. There we go. So again, I created that format, and we can help you with the formats as well. We've gotten pretty good at creating these. But you also, what I didn't show you was the ability to generate from samples. So if you have your own stories, it's private to you. It's not going to create a public voice or format, but you can create it from your own format. So I've got the player of the week here, and I'm going to pop it in. So Devin, I believe you've added it to research, right? So there should be two notes. He just kind of threw it up there. It's probably, I think they're quotes from the coaches who want to tout these players. So there we go. I think these are fake names, by the way, but we've got some real teams. But so there you go. Congratulations. So I actually wrote this, and it's the same thing each week, but I created the format. So it's always polling the name in bold with the team name and the division. It's creating it the exact same way. It actually restyled the coach's name and this into the format that we want. It wasn't written like this. And it's it's pulling out a quote. I truncated it to 1 paragraph. So it just makes it so much easier. There's really no reason why I need to go in there and rewrite it and look at it and take forever on it. Let's just get that part done. And now I'm just going to add an intro. I'm not going to make you watch me do it, the whole thing, but I'll just start. And you can start with command, right? The first thing you see there is space bar, and you can tell it what to write if you need to. I do that sometimes. I'll write my own, and then in the middle, maybe I'll say, pull a quote from this interview, or turn this into 5 bullet points, that kind of thing. You can do it anywhere within your copy, but I'm going to say, hello, Walnut Creek Little League families, and then I will just copy and paste something that I had, that I wrote. It's not AI. And then I'll say something like, here are some quick notes from around the league. Yeah, you get the idea. So this now looks, I think, pretty good. I am ready to go. So I'm going to go to the publish stage. So you can see how on the left here, we're broken up into research, write, and publish. It takes you through that workflow. So I will quickly just do this here before we get to your questions. So we now have the newsletter here laid out. You could, have headlines and summaries if you want it. You could, we'll have the ability to format it if you always have 3 bullet points up top. But this looks good. The only thing I didn't add, I forgot, it's fine, it was a closing, thank you, see you next time, etc. But here it is, and let's say that I am ready to go. We could now export it, and we can work with you, especially if you're an enterprise customer, with linking it to your WordPress or your CMS. We could export it right now to Google Docs. It's very easy. You can also download it. So I will download a Word file here, and maybe I can show it to you. I'm going to do that while it is going. Let's see if I can pull that up on screen. Devin, I'm going to turn it back to you while I'm doing that, and I'm going to show you the Word document and what it looks like, but it's going to be a really good, clean copy.
Okay. I'm conscious of everybody's time. Again, we stepped you through piece by piece, but what we wanted to show you with Scott is that our research canvas is collaborative and it works with teams very, very well. So oftentimes what we've heard is that the way a newsletter is assembled, particularly one that is periodical, is people curate things in a place and then they make the editorial decisions about where they go later. This is perfect for that. Everybody can pitch their articles in, and ultimately the tagging decides, the editor can tag and decide where the stories go. Is this the major story or is it just a link summary? And by the way, we just showed a couple of formats, but there are lots of varieties of that. Most newsletters have fairly standard building blocks, but we support lots of others that we can that are either out of the box or that we can work with you on. So it's collaborative, and it also excels at the combination of original writing and curated other content. That's really what we see in most newsletters, is that it's a combination of original writing and curated other content. And that's really what we solved for here. So here you can see the article downloaded, in this case to Word, but we can download it as a Markdown file, really as a text file, as anything that you need. And like we said, we can do that as a straight through process as well. So that looks really good. So with that, we've been answering questions in the chat, but if there are any others, if there are any other questions, please add them right now. We're going to answer some of these, and I can read some of them out just so people can see it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Question, let's start from the top. Give me 1 second. Can you give it max word count per section? Yes, in the format, you can constrain its word count. And we also provide a word count so you can see what it is as you're working. How long can research items be? Does it support book length content in research? Not book length in one shot, like one article. We have a 1 million word context window, which is roughly 1 million tokens, 1 million words. And that will definitely increase over time. But we've had people work with longer material and they've just chunked it out. They've done like a chapter at a time or a section at a time, and it works just fine. Can it search image databases and add photos? So that is coming. It can search image databases. We are adding a photo capability. In fact, a week ago, we announced a partnership with Getty, where Getty images will be available for purchase a la carte. Or if you have a Getty account, you can link it and then just pull down and add images into your newsletter. And full photo capability is coming very, very soon. And Getty is coming very, very soon for those that would like to add images but don't have them. Can it be integrated into Klaviyo? Yeah, that's okay. I wasn't sure of the question. I'm certain we haven't done Klaviyo yet, but I'm certain it can be. I'm certain.
We have an API.
Yeah, we've integrated into a number of other systems, and I'm absolutely certain that for enterprise customers, we've handled a number of CMSs, we've handled a number of publishing platforms. We've already integrated, like Scott mentioned, with WordPress and a bunch of others. It's not particularly challenging. Symbolic has an API, both an ingress and an egress API with standard documentation. And we have a team that's gotten very, very good at handling. Most integrations are taking days, not weeks. So I'm certain that Klaviyo wouldn't be a challenge for us. Okay. Any other questions? I hope that got across what we've done. We don't think there's anything else like this out there. We're very excited by it. And if you would like to set up a private demo, please reach out to us. And we really appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Thank you.